Welcome to this week's Monday Moments. I sat down this morning preparing for this Monday Moments video and podcast and asked myself the question, what is it we do that makes this small 10 minutes segment of video and podcast different to everything else we do at the Soul Millionaire and different to what might happen in the financial advisory sector? And three words popped out onto my page that I scribbled notes. One was hope, one was light in the darkness, a phrase there, and third was humour. So there are many serious things we might discuss about leadership and financial planning and coaching skills and life planning and creating cultures, all those things we do elsewhere. But in Monday Moments, we just have this moment of light-hearted hope, a light in the darkness theme, and some humour. Let me pick up on hope today. In a meeting this week that we call our Tribe Power, a small group of clients came together, about a dozen of us, and we were just asking ourselves the question, how can we change things for the better in the financial advisory sector? How can we influence a community of at least 24,000 and at least 6,000 leaders in that community? And a whole range of ideas spun out. And we only had about 40 minutes to discuss that, so it's just tickling the subject. But two themes, two comments come to mind as I thought, what hope came out of that conversation? What hopefully in reality came out? First was a comment by an operations director where she said she'd just been reading a comment, and this was a very brief mention from her in about 10 seconds, something she learned from Stephen R. Covey. Now, you might know Stephen R. Covey as arguably one of the greatest business philosophers of the 20th century, and his 20 million plus sales of his first major work in the business sector called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And that really was a platform for launching him onto the global market. One of the principles that Stephen R. Covey taught, he reminded us, was his principles of the circles of concern and the circles of influence. So if you've got a notepad there, what I would have you do if we were in a coaching conversation is just get a pen and draw the largest possible circle on that page, that A4 page. And then within that, a smaller concentric circle, same center, just smaller circle within that. Looking at those two circles, Covey would have us label them as follows. The inner circle would be our circle of influence, and the outer circle will be our circle of concern. And here's why this moment of hope came up in our tribe conversation this week, just this 1 hour lunchtime conversation on a Wednesday. Many of us get frustrated and have our energy sucked out of us by fretting about our circle of concern, the outer circle. Things that we're very annoyed about, angry about, frustrated by, and yet can do very, very little about, but they do consume us. We find ourselves in grumbling, mumbling conversations about them. We get angry. We talk with friends and colleagues in business and say, I'm so annoyed about this. And they are all those things in our area of concern. And sometimes those can really take up more time and energy and hope from us than they deserve in our lives. Covey then reminds us that there is this inner circle called our circle of influence, our circle where we do have some influence depending upon how we behave. And the more energy we put into improving what we can influence, for example, the more energy we devote to educating ourselves and practicing to be a far better leader, a more influential, innovative, caring, compassionate, building up of others rather than building up of our own ego type leader, the greater our circle of influence becomes. What I reminded our tribe was that together we need first to work on that circle of influence. And as we become stronger as individual firms and as a collective body and voice, we realize, oh, right, when we become that better, when we become role models, then we can powerfully have influence on more minds and hearts. So that was a great moment of hope for me. We could do this, we can do this together, but first we need to work on, as one director commented, the man on the mirror. That's me and you. And that gave me great hope that if we change ourselves, if we change our own businesses and the way we behave and become just better at that, not more revenue, that will come anyway, but better behavior, more long-term strategic rather than myopic, short-sighted behavior and selfish behavior, then the more influence and power we'll have on a much bigger community. I think that applies to all of us. The second area of hope that came out of this 1 hour conversation was a reference we made to the film I Am Greta. And I can't remember her surname. I've got it in front of me here. I'm sure I could look it up. Let me just do that now. Greta Thunberg from Sweden. 15 years old when she started to sit outside in the freezing cold and driving rain, saying, "I'm on strike because of the climate that you've made me live in, which is heading down to a huge abyss of blackness. And I'm angry about it. And I'm on strike this Friday." And she sat there all alone, people looking at her, sneering at her, saying, "Why aren't you in school, you stupid little girl?" And taking a lot of abuse by just sitting on the pavement in the freezing cold in Sweden. And then it gets colder in Sweden than perhaps we're accustomed to. But she stuck at it. And within a period of 18 months, she was speaking in front of major international conferences of the world's most powerful leaders and calling them out, saying things like, "How dare you make me live and grow up in this world where you have shown 5 years after the Paris Convention that you actually just don't care what's happening to the world I'm living in." And whilst we may laugh at her, many may sneer at her, many may make fun of her and call her silly, that gives me hope, seeing this child whose childhood has been taken away from her, that she can stand up to powerful forces bigger than her and say, we're going to change this and we don't trust you anymore. And we're telling you, we're going to take this thing over and cause you and the world to change. So hope is one of the things that I want to come out of Monday Moments and from the Soul Millionaire community, that individually in our areas of influence, we can change our behavior. We can change the quality of what's happening within our firms. We can make our organizations places that people want to deal with and really joyfully want to work within. And then that will give us influence. As our circle of influence grows, and if you've got your page there and you try and grow your circle of influence, what happens to the area of the circle of concern? It narrows, it thins, it shrinks. And so it is in life. So here's my message from Monday Moments today. One person can bring hope in the world. One tiny light can chase away darkness. And that could be you and that could be me. But first of all, we have to be very clear and make a decision what it is we want to light up, what it is we want to change. When we make that happen in our area of influence, starting with, as the director said on Wednesday, the man in the mirror, then there is great hope that we can change and influence the world around us, the world we work in, the profession we work in, for the better. And that's what Monday Moments is all about. So I'll leave you with that message of hope. There's a circle of influence, we can grow that. And that's our responsibility in life, on this planet and in our business world, to grow that circle of influence. Two, one young a fragile teenager, one man or woman of our age, standing up and having a voice and not sitting on the fence any longer, not seeking popularity, but doing what they think is right and saying it out loud, can shape an industry, can shape a huge business sector, can shape a community, can shape a nation. And as Margaret Mead said many years ago, sociologist and author, she said, never underestimate the power of a small group of citizens to change this world. In fact, that is the only thing that ever has. I leave you with a sense of hope and light for this year, 2021, from Monday Moments. I look forward to seeing you in the next Monday Moments next week.